Hey guys, this is Yugioh Player 707 and I'm going to be continuing my tutorial series today, Yu-Gi-Oh tutorials, and today we're going to talk about pendulum summoning. This is something that a lot of new players and a lot of returning players are confused about, so we're going to go over the basics and show you what pendulum summoning is and how to fight it. These are pendulum monsters. They look like half spell, half monster. Some of them are normal monsters, which means they don't have monster effects, like this yellow and blue one here. But most of them are effect monsters, which means they have a pendulum effect and a monster effect. A pendulum effect is like a continuous spell effect that you can use when the monster is in the pendulum zone. Now, Magispectors don't have a pendulum effect, but they do have monster effects. Eccentric Archfiend has a pendulum effect and a monster effect. So let's just go into a game and let's explain how pendulum summoning works. So we're going to go first, and this hand right here, see, we have a scale of 2 and a scale of 5. That's the pendulum scale that's listed on each pendulum monster. Now, if I set this and this and this in my scales, then I can summon monsters that are level 3 and 4. Anything between 2 and 5. I can't summon a 5, I can't summon a 2, but I can summon 3s and 4s. Now this one has a pendulum scale of 7, meaning I can summon level 5 and 6 too. So we'll start off by putting the 2 scale in the pendulum scale, and then we'll put the 7 in the pendulum scale, and when these scales are up, that means I can special summon once during my turn monsters between the level of 2 or 7 from my hand or face up from my extra deck. Now when these pendulum monsters die, they don't go to the graveyard, they go face up in the extra deck. So basically you can summon them out every turn as long as you have a pendulum scale. So let's special summon a 3 and a 6. The 3 gets an effect when it's summoned, and I'm just going to add another one. I'm going to use the field spell. See, that goes face up in my extra deck. These all get effects when they're special summoned. I still have a normal summon because I only pendulum summoned this turn. And yeah, that's the basics of how you pendulum summon. Now, the way to fight pendulums is to break these scales. All the monsters in my extra deck are going to come out every turn unless you find a way to get rid of the pendulum scales. Now we're fighting Blackwings. We're not really worried about him. Yeah, see, he's going to try to special summon, and I contribute one of these to get rid of it, and they don't have a play. Now again, like I said, every turn you can special summon out of the extra deck. So let's do that. And this is game right here. Let's grab a fox. Set another Tempest, because that's the only trap that matters. Normal summon. Search another trap. You see the basics of how pendulum works. So since my scales remained intact, I pretty much won the game pretty easily. And that's how pendulums work. That's the basics of the mechanic. A couple things. A monster can use its pendulum effect and its monster effect in the same turn. So If Eccentric Archfiend is in the scale, you can use his effect to destroy himself in a spell trap. He goes to the extra deck. Then you can Pendulum summon him out and use his monster effect to destroy a monster on the field, both in the same turn. So that's something interesting to keep in mind. Again, when you're fighting pendulums, you want to have cards like Twin Twister, cards like Mystical Space Typhoon that destroy spells and traps. Fairy Wind is even good. Anti-Spell Fragrance keeps them from setting spells, and these are considered spells when they're put in the pendulum zone. The pendulum monsters are considered spells. So any kind of spell trap removal is really good at working with fighting against pendulums. The other thing about pendulums is that when their summon is negated, instead of going to the extra deck, they go to the graveyard. So this trap, when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, negate the special summon or activation, and if you do, destroy it. That's the kind of card that can fight pendulums. There's also Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike, or Solemn Notice, whichever you call it. There's also Grand Horn of Heaven. And to a lesser extent, Bottomless deals with pendulums because instead of the monsters going to the extra deck, they're banished. Now, Bottomless, keep in mind, doesn't work against Magispectors because their monster effect is that they cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect, or they can't be destroyed or targeted by card effects. Sorry, they can be destroyed by battle. And Bottomless attempts to destroy first before it banishes. So if they don't get destroyed, they don't get banished. So Bottomless, not good against Magispectors, really good against other pendulum decks like Odd Eyes Magicians, Dynamists, anything that that summons monsters that can be destroyed. A Bottomless trap hole can really get rid of the resources in a pendulum deck. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. That's just the basics of pendulum summoning, and I would recommend that you put together a pendulum deck and try to play the mechanic a few times. That way you know how it loses. Thanks for watching, and I'll be up with another video soon about synchro summoning, so stay tuned. Thank you.